fear can be extremely motivating, but there's one emotion that is a lot more powerful than fear, and let's see if you can figure out what it is. See, imagine someone who desperately wants to run a marathon. They dream about crossing the finish line, they buy all the shoes, they tell all their friends, but every morning when the alarm clock goes off for training, they hit that snooze button, they stay in bed. Then months later, when the race comes around, they're nowhere near ready. You see, wanting that medal is easy, but it's the daily commitment that really matters. And believe it or not, this is exactly how most Americans approach retirement. See, we all say that we want to retire comfortably and travel, enjoy our freedom, and never have to worry about money again. And even according to a brand new study, nearly 2/3 of Americans are actually more afraid of going broke than dying itself, which is crazy to think that if running out of money is officially scarier than dying for most people. And yet when you look at how much we're actually saving for retirement, the reality is shocking, and based on the data, the one emotion that seems to be more powerful than fear is actually desire for instant gratification, that is. So in this video, I'm going to break down what average Americans save for retirement and 7 habits to becoming a millionaire. Now, before we jump into the numbers, why is what I'm about to show you so incredibly important? See, I've been helping people plan their retirement for going on 20 years now, and I've never met a single person who envisioned a retirement full of financial struggles. See, retirement was always pictured as this relaxing time of no longer having to work, spending time with family, traveling, and just enjoying life. And it's easy to daydream about the ideal retirement. What people don't daydream about is the mundane discipline that it takes to save, and it shows in the numbers. See, according to the Federal Reserve's latest survey of consumer finances, Americans under 35 have an average of about $49,000 saved for retirement, which sounds pretty decent until you realize the median is just $18,880, meaning that half have less than that. And it doesn't get much better for people that are older. See, because Americans between 35 and 44 have an average of $141,000, but the median is only $45,000. And even people getting close to retirement ages, 55 to 64, have an average nest egg of $538,000, but the median is just $185,000. That means half of Americans who are about to retire have less than $200,000 saved up after a lifetime of working. And when you look at those aged 65 to 74, the average is about $609,000, but again, the median is just about $200,000. Now, what's shocking about those numbers is that most people believe that you need at least $1 million to retire comfortably. In fact, some studies show that people actually think they need over $1.4 million to retire comfortably, yet the reality is that the typical American falls way short of that goal. And millions of people have much less than that, and a lot of folks have no retirement savings at all. And this all reminds me of the first personal finance book that I ever read when I got into this business, which was The Millionaire Next Door. That book really changed my perspective because it showed that the typical millionaire isn't flashy or what you might actually imagine as someone who has $1 million. They don't blow money on luxury cars or expensive stuff. They're long-term thinkers, they're disciplined savers, and half of them have actually lived in the same house for over 20 years. And what really surprised me was that 80% of them are first-generation affluent. See, growing up, I didn't come from money, and I always thought that wealthy people just inherited their money. But that statistic gave me hope and made me realize that I could build wealth for myself and for my family, and it really helped change my perspective on what being rich or wealthy meant. But there's a disconnect between what we fear and what we actually do. So even though the Allianz study says that most Americans are scared of running out of money, only about 54% of families participate in retirement plans at all. So you have this major disconnect between the fear and what people are actually doing. And when people are asked how much they're saving every single year, well, the average answer is about $5,000. Millennials are actually saving the most right now at about $6,000, whereas Gen X and baby boomers are saving less, and some retirees have stopped saving altogether, which does make sense. But for just about everyone, those numbers just aren't enough to reach those big retirement goals, especially with rising prices. So even if we went back to the average of $200,000 for someone who's nearing retirement, using the 4% rule, that would generate about $8,000 of income without the fear of running out of that nest egg. So saving, though, isn't the only problem. You see, people's anxiety is getting worse for reasons totally out of their control. We all know that inflation's been tough over the past couple of years, with the price of basics like groceries, gas, and housing going up nearly 20% since 2020. And then you've got Social Security not feeling like a safe bet anymore because more than 70% of Americans don't trust it to be there for them, and the Social Security Trust Fund could start cutting benefits in less than 10 years if nothing's done. See, the stock markets have also been a roller coaster, and only about a third of people actually feel confident investing for the future. So if everyone's so worried about being broke, why aren't we doing more about it? So that's the real conflict. The fear is real, but people's actions don't match up. And the American Psychological Association says that money stress is at an all-time high, but research also shows that most people don't have a plan and don't work with a professional and aren't even saving close to what they'll need. In fact, the average person starts saving for retirement at age 31, which is already about 10 years too late, according to some experts. Now, the bottom line is that America is full of people who are anxious about money, but as a whole, we're just not doing enough about it. Now, the fear of running out of money shapes our lives, it shapes our decisions, and even our health. But the steps that we're taking, if we're taking any at all, just aren't enough. So what is the answer? Well, it's simple to say, but it's hard to do. So we have to turn that fear into action. We have to build a real plan. And if you don't know where to start or you need help, then take the free quiz that's linked below to see if you're on track to your retirement goals. In return, you're going to get a personalized look at where you stand and, most importantly, the actions that you need to take to get on track. See, the data is clear. People with a plan are far more confident and secure about their financial future. But having a plan is just the beginning. It's the habits that you build that really determine your success over time. And that's where the Millionaire Next Door book comes in, because that book revealed 7 habits that nearly all self-made millionaires share, and no, skipping that morning coffee wasn't one of them. So the first thing that they did was they all lived well below their means. They allocate their time and energy and money efficiently in ways that are conducive to building wealth. They believe that financial independence is more important than displaying a high social status. Their parents did not provide economic outpatient care. Their adult children are economically sufficient. They're proficient in targeting market opportunities, and they chose the right occupation. I mean, of course, the world's changed a lot since this book came out in 1996. I mean, social media didn't even exist back then, so there wasn't as much pressure to keep up. But the one thing that is still true and will always remain true is that people want to build wealth so they don't have to worry about money. But that takes discipline, hard work, and sometimes sacrifice. So here's a question for you. What's scarier, running out of money or not doing anything about it while you still have the chance? Now, if you found this video eye-opening, then do me a favor, hit that like button and make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any of our retirement videos. And do me a favor, let me know in the comments, what's your biggest retirement worry or what steps are you taking to get on track? I appreciate you watching. I'll see you in the next video.